What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, just read an interesting article. It was based on an interview by Hustle Boss. Shout out to Hustle Boss Chris Robinson, my dude. And he was talking to Andre Ward about some things. And what he had to say was good. It was a good topic. So I figured I would share it. I know this is gonna give me some dislikes, some likes. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? I don't care. I don't live my life based on likes or dislikes. I call it like I see it. So in this interview, Andre Ward is speaking on Triple G Gennady Golovkin. And he says Golovkin is a humble guy. He's a good fighter, a silver medalist. He's making a name for himself. But it's the guys around him that a lot of times talk tough. They say a lot. My thing is, if you have to go on record and plead the case for your fighter and say he's a star, don't try to force feed us that Golovkin is a star. If you got to go on the record to say he's a star, he's probably not there yet. I think he deserves some of the hype that he's getting, but they are trying to force feed us that Golovkin is a star right now and he's not there yet. He also goes on to say, my only thing is this. I'm not the type of guy to bully other fighters or look for guys in lower weight classes, but they went on record and they've campaigned for years stating that Golovkin will fight anybody from 154 to 175, anybody, and anybody means anybody. So I said that I have no problem fighting Golovkin, and now all of a sudden it's a campaign to stay at 160. Maybe you guys can explain this to me. To me, it looks like a lot of backpedaling and grandstanding. They want to make this excuse and that excuse and give this reason and that reason. So, eerily similar to a video that I just did recently. Maybe Andre Ward watched the video. We both represent the Bay. I sent something to him and then he responded back to it. So, I don't know. He probably didn't see the video. Maybe it's just great minds think alike. Maybe it's a Bay Area thing. Anyway, I did a video. It was called Floyd Mayweather Double Standards Part 2. And I say virtually the same thing. Now, this is not a Gennady Golovkin bashing session. If you check my track record, check my previous videos, don't take my word for it. The videos are still up on my channel. I'm an advocate for Gennady Golovkin. Very entertaining fighter. He looks like he trains hard. He means business. He has the power from hell. And I really like Triple G. Very humble, like Andre Ward is saying. He's very humble. He's like, no, Max. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, Max. Nah, I know. He's a good boy. Like, he's just real cool. Real cool kickback, silent killer type. When he gets in that ring, he comes to fuck you up. He wants to fuck your world up. I dig Gennady Golovkin. So, this is not a bashing session. But here on my channel, one thing that I have no choice but to do is give it to you raw and uncut. And my honest feeling. My honest feeling with Gennady Golovkin is he hasn't fought the caliber of competition to really suggest that he's the best ever or whatever. You know what I mean? Some people are saying he's the best middleweight of all time. And he hasn't done enough. And not saying he can't do enough, but as of right now, he hasn't. With the competition, like people like Ashita, I mean, I give him credit where credit's due. He gets credit for disposing of the guys that he's disposing of in the fashion in which he's doing it. I mean, he does have freakish power, and he's just absolutely flattening the guys that are in front of him. So he gets credit for that because it takes a man to lace him up, or a woman, but it takes a warrior to basically lace up the gloves, get in the ring, and it takes heart just to do that part. So everybody in the sport of boxing, whether you're Mayweather, Golovkin, Victor Ortiz, you have a shot at winning. You have two legs, two hands, you have a brain just like anybody else. And this is boxing, very brutal sport. One punch can change or alter the course of events, create that ripple in the pond. So I give credit to fighters for that alone. So Golovkin's not invincible. Mayweather's not invincible. It just takes the right type of fighter, a special type of fighter, to exploit what they do wrong. Now, as far as Golovkin, from what I've seen, very entertaining. He looks dedicated in terms of training all the way to the night of fight and stuff. I never see him come in like overweight or anything so far thus far in his career. But the competition is limited. The competition he has had is limited. I don't feel he's fought, for one reason or another, the best middleweights out there, or the guys that are getting the most accolades. And you know what I mean? I would really want to see him fight Daniel Gill, Felix Sturm, Peter Quillen, Sergio Martinez, Chavez Jr., maybe at a catchweight, because I think Chavez is not moving up. I think he said he's not going to fight at 160 unless it's a rematch with Martinez, something like that. So I want to see him fight those type of guys who I feel, at least, at the very least, they have something like I mean, I can go through the list. Each fighter represents something different. Sergio Martinez, veteran. He has lateral movement. He's a southpaw. He carries some power, and he has a good activity level and work rate normally. So I want to see how Gennady Golovkin would cut off the ring on someone like Sergio Martinez. Peter Quillen has power. He's kind of learning on the job. So I want to see how he fares against someone with power and who showed heart in the past. Just different things. But when you got guys like Ashita, who has no punching power at 54, moving up in 160, of course it's going to be an utter destruction because, again, Ashita was not known for power at 54, and he moved up in weight. And it kind of lets you know where guys are at in their career. Ashita said, even though I think he's fought since then, but he said if he loses the Gennady Golovkin fight or after he lost, he said he was retiring. That lets you know where he's at in his career. Like you look at a guy like Canelo, and he took a loss, but he's so young, there's no point for him to retire. Amir Khan took back-to-back losses, but he's still young, so he doesn't feel there's no reason to retire right now. But Ashita, kind of nearing the end of his rope, he went in, got demolished by Gennady Golovkin. The rest is history. So, again, I give Triple G credit for disposing of the people in the fashion that he's doing it, but you can only give him so much credit. And I don't know if Ward's statement is entirely true, but in my video, in my Mayweather Double Standards video, I talk about this. I recall Abel Sanchez, Triple G saying their fighter can go from 154 to 168. I don't know if they said that he can fight anywhere from 154 to 175, but I do remember saying at least up to 68, from 54 to 68. Now, the thing about it is with Triple G, if you look at it, Edeslani Laura called him out at 160, said basically he'll take the fight. Why will you only fight Mayweather at 154? You know what I mean? Why not fight Edeslani Laura at 54? If you were releasing a blanket statement saying from this range to this range, I'm good, just like Andre Ward is suggesting, then make good with your promise. You said you could fight from 54. You didn't say I could fight from 54 only if it's going to be Mayweather. Fight Sergio Martinez at 54. He says he's a small middleweight. You know what I mean? It's just like we've come to an age in boxing where people really like to pick and choose. Like, hey, I'll drop down to fight Mayweather for that payday, but I'm not going to fight any other fighter at 54. Or saying you'll go up to 168. Okay, Andre Ward said he's okay with the fight, but now you're saying you're campaigning at 160. And you don't want to move up. It's not in your immediate plans. So it's like, why release a statement saying that you could fight from this range to this range if you're not? If I apply for a job and on the job it asks, they're like, we want to hire you, ego, you have the talent, you fit the bill, what's your availability? If I write weekends I'm open, from open to close, then that's what they're going to expect. They're going to schedule me accordingly. Like, oh, you said you could be here from any time Saturday and Sunday. So if they made my schedule and I'm like, yo, I'm not getting up at 7 a.m. to come into work, they're going to be like, what the fuck? You just said you had open availability. So I think this is what we're experiencing with Triple G. Him and his team, or him or whoever, Abel Sanchez, said he could fight from 54 to 168, as I remember. Ward says up to 75, so I don't know. I don't remember him saying that, but he's staying at 160. So I just want to see more or less Triple G fight guys who are going to be like the top ranked guys that might be able to pose or get the best out of him. A Gabe Rosado, another fighter who came up in weight. We went through this with Canelo, but the thing with Canelo is, since the Trout fight, he had all of his other fights. And another thing with Canelo versus Triple G, Canelo is younger than Triple G. So you got to take that into consideration. Not that you can't be good at a young age, but he turned pro at age 15, didn't have an amateur background. He was fighting grown-ass men in Mexico, so he had to learn on the job. So he doesn't have a decorated amateur background like Triple G does with 400 fights, 350 plus fights or whatever. So I was like, it got to a point where, okay, man, you have 40 plus fights. When are we going to see Canelo fight the top guys? They're rating him highly and saying he's that dude and he has all these tools, and people got impatient, including myself. I was like, let's see it. Let's see Canelo face someone. I don't want to see him fight smaller dudes, Rhodes and Ricky Hatton's brother and Josito Lopez. I want to see him fight. But since the Austin Trout fight, he's done that. Austin Trout a solid test at 154. Could be a tricky style. Trout was undefeated. Then he fought Mayweather, lost to that, but he gave it his all. Now he's fighting Angulo, another certified 154 pounder. So it looks like he's on track. We got that. So with Gennady Golovkin, an older fighter with a decorated amateur background, so it's like, when are we going to get to see you fight those upper echelon fighters? That's my only thing with them. It's cool seeing you fight the Adamas of the world and Ashidas and Rosados coming up, because I know you're going to destroy them. Curtis Stevens was a fighter that he fought. That's a credible fight at middleweight. But I want to see him fight some more of the upper echelon. And a lot of people want to compare, say Mayweather needs to move up to make history and stuff like that. And in all actuality, Mayweather has been in the sport for like 18 years as a professional. So how is it that Mayweather, all the champions he's beat, all the times he's rose to the occasion, battled adversity or whatever, how is it that he still has all this to prove to some of the fans, yet Gennady Golovkin, being newer to the professional rankings, doesn't have to prove it? He could just keep fighting whoever he wants to fight. And I think overall that's what Andre Ward is kind of talking about. Gennady Golovkin and his team kind of picking and choosing to stay at 160. That's fine. If you're going to stay at 160, battle some tough competition at 160. And as a newer professional, newer than Mayweather at the very least, or Pacquiao, you have more to prove. You know what I mean? Pacquiao's getting up ready to fight Bradley, which is like one of the top dogs at welterweight. And he's undefeated. He's about to rematch him. So, I mean, I feel like guys that have been in the game, like the Cottos and the Pacquiaos, the Mayweathers, they've been in the game. They've paid their dues. Triple G still has to pay his dues in the professional rankings. The amateur stuff is good, and that gained him a lot of experience, but he still has to pay his dues as a professional. And I'm not saying Triple G can't beat all the middleweights. He might be able to. But I still got to see it, because I still see flaws with Triple G. It's just I haven't seen anyone that's matched against him, like the Macklins and stuff. They don't have what it takes to exploit that. But you put him in there against a fighter like Andre Ward. To me, Andre Ward is the premier type of fighter style that could potentially exploit Triple G. He has good movement. He's a thinking fighter. He's in a higher division, so he could probably take a punch. He battled adversity in the Boone fight, got knocked down, got back up. He's an Olympic gold medalist. So to me, this is an awesome fight, Triple G versus Andre Ward. Even an Edeslandi Lara fight, because I feel Edeslandi Lara is a smart fighter, and he's going to know what to do when he's in trouble, just like he did with Angulo. He was in trouble multiple times, but if you look at after he got knocked down, watch how fucking calm and composed Edeslandi Lara was when he was badly hurt and knocked down by Alfredo Angulo. And who knows, maybe Triple G runs through Edeslandi Lara if they were to fight. But still, seeing is believing. I thought fucking Diego Corrales would give Mayweather a tougher fight than what he did, and he got knocked down 4 or 5 times. So, again, seeing is believing. You have to see it to believe it. I know a lot of people that were rooting for Margarito and said Margarito is going to absolutely destroy Manny Pacquiao was too small. And that's not what happened. He landed some good body shots, but it was pretty much a retirement party because Pacquiao fucked that eye up royally. So, again, seeing is believing. Not being hard on Triple G. I still like him. He's still a great fighter. And I think he has a lot. He's a force to be reckoned with. And he has a lot to bring to the sport of boxing. But I agree with Andre Ward. You can't kind of pick and choose. If you release these statements like, I'm the baddest man on the planet, you know what I mean, I can fight from A to Z, you know what I mean, then people are going to expect. They're going to pick random letters out the alphabet, like, okay, fight Edeslandi Lara. And, like, don't turn the Edeslandi Lara fight down saying he has no fan base to fight Andy Lee or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I would much rather see Triple G versus Edeslandi Lara, because I know he's a smart Cuban, as opposed to Andy Lee, a fighter with losses who doesn't always use his height to his advantage, and more or less is just kind of a middle of the road, solid fighter with heart. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's going to necessarily get the job done, because even in the Andy Lee versus Chavez Jr. fight, Andy Lee was lured into the wrong type of fight easily by Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. started taunting him, At first, like maybe the first round or two, Andy Lee was fighting tall, and then over time he started giving up his height. He didn't control the distance. He was allowing, and without knowing, he was allowing Chavez Jr. to close the gap, close the distance, getting closer, which is exactly what Chavez Jr. needed and wanted. So once Chavez Jr. lured him into um, the the bait, you know what I mean? Like Joe Budden said, "You fell for the mousetrap, Joe." So I mean, it was a wrap, and that's why he got stopped. So to me, Triple G is a more educated, especially with his amateur background. He's a more educated fighter in terms of setting up traps and knowing when to dig to the body using a jab and stuff like that. Just boxing fundamentals, and he's more educated than Chavez Jr. in my opinion. Chavez Jr. another fighter, kind of learned on the job, learned from whatever he learned from his pops, and Andy Lee couldn't even stay out from the fighter. He couldn't stay out of trouble with the fighter who doesn't have the same brains that Triple G has. So I mean, I really don't give Andy Lee a shot to beat Triple G at all. If you guys dispute it, let me know what in the fuck makes you think a guy who got stopped at least twice. I forgot the other stoppage of Andy Lee. I forgot his name off the top of my head. But let me know what you see in Andy Lee that suggests he'll beat Triple G, because I don't see the vision. Let me know what you guys think. Andre Ward's comments, my comments. Bay Area in the house. That's all I got to say. Shout out to Triple G and Abel Sanchez. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.